God is for us, then who the is against us? Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot.
Welcome to the Wealth Mindset with JD Garnier. Listen, nobody pays full price for a copy. Sometimes the reason we aren't getting the results we want, the reason we aren't being compensated what we are worth, is because we're not being our authentic selves. We may be good, we may be productive, we may be getting things done, but we are not being authentic to who we are. We are acting in the image of somebody else. We are being who we think society wants us to be, but nobody pays full price for a copy. You are who you are for a reason. The way that you talk, the insecurities that you have, the quirks that you can't shake, we have all those things for a reason. And once you accept and embrace who you are, you start to walk in confidence regardless of any flaws that you have. Because just like some of the most famous paintings in the world that were created by flawed people, the paintings themselves are not perfect, but they are original. And that requires them to demand full value for what they are. And so start accepting your flaws, start accepting your shortcomings. Start accepting the things that you're trying to hide from the world and walk in confidence so that you can get your full value, because nobody pays full price for a copy. Listen, man, as it stands today, the economy is doing better than ever. Things are growing, momentum is happening, and I'm curious to know if you are taking advantage of it. In our community, less than 4% of us own stocks in public markets. A small percentage of us are entrepreneurs, and of the 3 million businesses that we have in our community, only 5% of those businesses have employees. And as we have this economic boom, what I'm fearful of is that we are not taking full advantage of it. We're on the sidelines. We're waiting for something to happen while it's already happening. The last 3 years, the investment in technology and infrastructure has been in the trillions. There's this race to finish to see who can create the fastest, most efficient, most autonomous technology to take us into a new age. Now, listen. My personal opinions on that, my opinions about our culture and society aren't the greatest. But listen, you can't stop what's coming. And so at a minimum, you want to be able to prepare for it. You want to be able to adapt to it. And you want to understand it so that you can protect yourself and take advantage of it. And as far as the technology is concerned, the goal is to know how to control it. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't see what's coming. A lot of us don't understand how it's going to change our situation, change our career paths, change just the way that we live. And more than anything, I want to encourage you to prepare, to inform, and to ready yourself. Because the next 5 years, the world is going to look totally different than anything that we can imagine. And I think that we have an opportunity to take advantage of it as a community if we do what we're supposed to do. The question is, what are we supposed to do? And I think the answer to that is twofold. The first thing that we need to be thinking about is ourselves and our households and how we want to live going forward in this world. Now, I know there's a lot of discourse on social media, basically encouraging singlehood and encouraging us to live our lives separately. But I would be a fool if I didn't tell you that we need one another. And it is a mistake to decide that you are going to live your life void of human connection, void of human relationships, and void of seeking love. And listen, man, I get it. Nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody wants to go through betrayal and manipulation. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. But that vulnerability and that human emotion and that human connection is what separates us from animals. We have an animalistic nature. We can act off of our impulses. But what separates us is our empathy, our compassion, and our ability to decide. And so if we don't embrace that, then we acted just like the animals. Animals have emotions, but their instinct is more powerful than their emotions. They can feel bad about something. They can be sad, but their instincts tell them to survive. Their instincts tell them to kill. Their instincts tell them to hunt. And so regardless of how they feel, animals act on their instincts. For us, our emotions are more powerful than our instincts. And so we are driven based on how we feel. And if you can't control that, you can't control your emotions, if you can't direct that, you're going to have problems. And so, man, it's time for us to prepare. It is time for us to individually decide how we're going to live our lives, decide whether or not we're going to walk in our purpose, decide whether or not we are going to act outside of what is natural to us if what is natural to us is destroying ourselves and our community. And the second part of it is how we act and engage with one another. Once you've decided that you're going to be self-accountable, once you've decided that you are going to do the things necessary to grow yourself as a person, to grow your household and your family and the people that you're responsible for, then the next step is how are you going to interact in the community? And there is an idea or a concept that I heard recently, and it is called unconscious cooperation. And the notion is Asian people don't have to encourage one another to buy Asian because unconsciously they just cooperate. They just know. Mexican people do not have to encourage one another to buy and support Mexican because unconsciously they just know. And I can say that about many nationalities and ethnicities and races of people. But for some reason, when it comes to our community, the reason why we have to encourage one another to support and buy from each other is because subconsciously we are not in alignment and cooperation. Subconsciously, we are against one another. And so we have to verbally validate the idea of buying black to go against what's in our subconscious. And so the question that I keep considering is how do we change our subconscious? How do we make our expectation a natural inclination into who we are. How do we create unconscious cooperation? And in my mind, I believe if we can do that, then that's half the battle, because a big reason why we are behind is because all of our problems are on public discourse. All of the things that we need to advance are known to everyone. And so it is very easy for our enemy to attack us, because all our problems are on Front Street. All of our communication, all of our efforts. But if we have unconscious cooperation, those are behaviors. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to encourage it. We don't have to direct people. We don't have to manipulate. We don't have to become a part of the algorithm, because the algorithm becomes a part of us. And unconsciously, we start to cooperate with one another. That's the type of environment that is going to close the racial wealth gap. That's the type of environment that's going to shift the dynamic for our community economically. That's the dynamic that is going to increase the velocity of the dollar. As it stands right now, a dollar stays in our community less than a few minutes before it circulates and goes out. And so we don't even have an opportunity to benefit from the dollars we spend, because everybody else is eating off of it. And so once we have unconscious cooperation, once we are innate in our actions towards one another, we don't have to talk about it. It just becomes who we are. And then those habits, those practices multiplied among millions change our financial circumstances, because now we are circulating those resources within our own community. That's how we change our situation. Now, the second part of that is we need to acquire more of the supply chain. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say you own a restaurant and you sell burgers. Every time you sell a burger for $10, you've paid for the meat, you've paid for the cheese, the bread, all of the condiments, everything on it. That $10 burger, you may make $2 from it. Who's making the other 8? The person who owned the cow, the person who owns the ketchup company, the person who sold you the lettuce, the person that sold you the bread, the person that helped ship it. And so right now, we don't own any of that supply chain. And so the only profits that we're getting on our businesses are at the retail level. I sell you the burger at the retail level, and then I get what's left over. But the money circulates longer in our community when we own the farm that raises the cattle that produces the meat, when we own the farm that makes the potatoes that produces the ketchup, when we buy from one another instead of buying from outside vendors, when we create our own transportation company to transport goods back and forth through our Black businesses. Now, when you sell that $10 burger, instead of you getting 2 of those dollars, you're getting 5 of those dollars, or you're getting 7 of those dollars. And that ownership extends throughout and permeates throughout our community. Right now, everything we're doing is at the retail level. We're not getting the benefit of the wholesale. We're not getting the benefit of manufacturing. We're not getting the benefit of transportation. We're getting the benefit of end user products and then getting the slim margins at the end. We're never going to win that way until we build industry, until we are on the front end of the supply chain and we're getting as much profit out of that dollar as possible. That's when we're going to change our circumstances. So that's twofold. That's individually and that's collectively. That's vertically and that's horizontally. Vertically is throughout your family and throughout your lineage, your parents to you, having a connection, having an understanding, making sure that resources flow from generation to generation responsibly. And then from you to your children, educating them, preparing them, circling them, protecting them, making certain that they are prepared much more than you were financially. And you create that vertical pipeline of generational wealth. But we also have to extend that horizontally throughout our community by sharing information, by working together, by collaborating, by being intentional of how we do business with one another, of how we work with one another, so that horizontally we are sharing resources, sharing information that we can then put through our generational and vertical pipeline. That's how we close the racial wealth gap. And so I'm encouraged that it can be done. I'm encouraged that we have the will to do it. Now we just got to have the skill. Now we just have to have the mindset. The time is now, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. The time is now. There's no more waiting. What used to be able to take 10 to 20 years to do, we can do it in a year. So let's get it. Listen, man, change begins from within. Wealth mindset.